Honorable members, we will continue with our oral questions. And the sixth oral question for today, I'll call on the Honorable Secretary Tumuna to ask question 284, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to ask question 284 of 2025. Question is directed at the Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation. Can the Deputy Prime Minister update Parliament on the status of the Voliku project, Voliku Tourism Development Program for Bono Levu, including its readiness for implementation and key components planned for the near future? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I now call on the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Tourism and Civil Aviation, the Honorable William Ngaboko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me just share with this House a development that should make us all proud. At the 36th meeting of the International Civil Aviation Organization, Asia Pacific Air Navigation Planning and Implementation Regional Group, or known as APAN PIRG 36, held in Bangkok from the 24th to 26th November 2025, Ms. Teresa Levestam, Chief Executive of Civil Aviation Authority of Fiji, was elected chairperson of APAN PIRG. This historic appointment makes her the first woman to lead the group and only the second Pacific Islander to hold the role, following fellow Fijian Tone Koretamana, who previously served as chair from 1992 to 1998. APAN PIRG is ICAO's key regional body responsible for reviewing and updating the Asia Pacific region air navigation plan, monitoring implementation, addressing operational and infrastructure deficiencies, and driving initiatives such as performance-based navigation, seamless air traffic management, and regional safety improvements. For Fiji and the wider Pacific, APAN IRG is especially important as it provides a forum for the unique needs of small island developing states, longer water routes, dispersed island communities, vulnerability to environmental and economic shocks are directly reflected in regional planning, while also ensuring that the Pacific airspace remains safe, resilient, and well integrated into wider Asia-Pacific air travel networks. Teresa is from Motusa and Rotuma, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Voliku, the Fiji Tourism Development Program, Bono Levu, represent far more than a series of projects. It is a promise to the people of Bono Levu that the future of tourism will be strong, inclusive, and rooted in the spirit of our communities. Today, I'd like to present a brief update on some of the recent activities under the Voliku program. It is not a question of implementation, readiness, but rather we are already implementing. Mr. Speaker, sir, members will appreciate that the program was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister just over a year ago on 20 September 2024. And since that time, I'm happy to report that we have established a central project management unit at the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation, which is now fully staffed and operational. Airport Fiji and Fiji Roads Authority, which are also implementing agencies under this program, have also set up project implementation units to oversee their respective components of the program. As this August House would be aware, the program is designed to have three phases. Phase one lays the foundation for sustainable tourism by addressing barriers such as insufficient or inadequate infrastructure, limited essential services, and weak institutional coordination. It includes airport and road improvements and basic services, support for tourism MSMEs, access to finance for community-based tourism operators, capacity building, and institutional strengthening. Phase two will promote medium-scale investments based on the feasibility studies carried out under phase one. And finally, phase three will aim to consolidate progress through large-scale investments, policy reforms, and sustainable financing, delivering long-term outcomes such as improved connectivity, increased tourism revenue and employment, and comprehensive benefits to local communities in Honolulu. With that background, Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to highlight some of what has been achieved in the roughly 40 months since the program was launched. One, a design and supervision contract was awarded by FRA in May 2025 to prepare the upgrades to be carried out on the Lambasa Sabu Sabu Link Road. The planned improvements are intended to enhance road safety, resilience, and the overall vista experience through the design of scenic lookouts, rest stops, and navigational signage, including the approach road to the Waisali Rainforest Reserve. This design phase is expected to take approximately 11 months, after which FRA will be moving swiftly to put out a tender for the actual works to be carried out. I really want to emphasize the road safety aspect of these components. There are simply too many unnecessary accidents and road fatalities on the Lambasa Sabu Sabu Road. And as a result of this program, we hope to reduce, if not entirely eliminate, these accidents and fatalities. Number two, Airports Fiji also awarded into a design and supervision contract for upgrades to both Lambasa and Sabu Sabu airports. Honorable Speaker, members would be aware of the recent announcement by Airports Fiji of the imminent closure of the Lambasa airport for 4 to 6 weeks during February-March 2026 to carry out urgent runway repairs. This upgrade is a key safety initiative that will protect passengers and airline crew and ensure safe and reliable aircraft operations across the Northern Division. Other activities under the Woliku program include upgrades to the infrastructure of both airports, the installation of a remote tower aerodrome flight information system, and a feasibility study for a new airport for Honolulu. At the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation, we have recently awarded a contract to an international consulting firm working with local counterparts to develop an integrated tourism master plan for Honolulu. This is known as the ITMP. It's a long-term strategic framework that will guide how tourism in Honolulu and Taveuni grows in a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient manner over the next 25 years. It aims to translate the government of Fiji's tourism diversification ambitions into a clear spatial planning and investment roadmap that protects natural, cultural, and social assets while expanding high-quality tourism opportunities. The plan will integrate and align existing national and sector strategies, set out realistic tourism growth scenarios and market positioning, and define how key destinations such as Sabu Sabu, Lambasa, the Natal Peninsula, and Taveuni should develop in terms of land use, infrastructure, visitor flows, and community participation. In short, it will guide future investments and inform the design of phases 2 and 3. The Speaker, sir, there are other important initiatives at various stages of implementation under the Woliku program in areas such as solid waste and wastewater management, solar energy, and improving the cityscape of the towns of Lambasa and Sabu Sabu. But what I'm most excited about is to share with you is the imminent launch of the MSME and community-based tourism program under the Woliku. The stage of program is designed to place our communities at the center of tourism growth, ensuring that new roads, better airports, and upgraded services translate into real livelihoods, stronger culture, and shared prosperity. Tourism succeeds when small operators succeed. It thrives when community groups can welcome visitors to authentic experiences and when women-led enterprises can grow with dignity and confidence. MSMEs and CBDs are the heartbeats of inclusive tourism. They create jobs close to home, protect the story of the Vanua, and unlock talent that too often goes unseen. This program recognizes that many enterprising Fijians have been constrained by limited finance, market access, and compliance barriers. We will change that by meeting people where they are and lifting them to where they deserve to be. The Woliku moves in coordinated steps. First, we plan destinations for a long-term through the integrated tourism master plan. Second, we build and upgrade critical infrastructure and essential services, from airport terminals and cross-island roads to modern waste and wastewater system and renewable energy and public facilities. Third, and this is our current focus, We activate the MSMEs and CPD programs so that local entrepreneurs and village-based groups have the capacity and tools and the support to turn opportunity into income. This sequencing reflects a simple truth: when access improves and destinations are thoughtfully planned, demand rises. The MSME and CPD programs ensures our people are ready to capture the demand. We are preparing to roll out the MSME and community-based tourism program, with official launches scheduled for the 12th and 13th December in Lambasa, Savu-Savu, and Somo-Somo and Taveuni. These launches will open the application process for grants and support under the program, inviting communities and enterprises across Vulnerable and Taveuni to step forward and participate. The MSMEs and CPD programs are ready for implementation. The design work is complete. Eligibility criteria, environmental and social safeguards, and the oversight framework all have been agreed. Extensive community consultants in Savu-Savu, Lambasa, and coastal districts have helped us shape the program to meet local needs and opportunities. We now move into the application phase. Communities and MSMEs will be invited to submit expressions of interest. Each applicant will be assessed against published criteria, and successful projects will be supported through grants, training, and advisory services. Our commitment is clear. Every step will be transparent, and progress will be reported to Parliament and the public. The next step is clear. We will open applications during the December launches in Lambasa, Savu-Savu, and Taveuni, and we will ensure that every process is transparent and accountable. This is your moment to engage, to innovate, and to lead. Together we can transform Vulnerable into a model of inclusive and sustainable tourism for the nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Ngavoka, for his response. Supplementary, first, Honourable Koya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank the Honourable Minister for his update. Honourable Minister, question regarding the road upgrades. Recent visit, talking about very recent, couple of days ago, and I think the Honourable Prime Minister was also in that particular area. The road upgrade, in light of the fact that we are approaching Christmas season, and also in light of the fact of the imminent closure of Lambasa Airport, there is a serious upgrade and repair that's required from the Savu-Savu junction that starts on the road to Lambasa and then up to Savu-Savu. Can we get a time frame on when that's going to commence? It is quite a disaster zone at the moment with respect to getting to Savu-Savu.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. When Lambasa closes during that period, we will be flying in through Savu-Savu. Programs are being put in place to provide transportation from Savu-Savu to Lambasa. I should be sharing the details over the next couple of days. I would like to make a ministerial statement on that, because there's no other way in terms of air. It has to be Savu-Savu. And we'll certainly take into account the conditions that you have highlighted to ensure that, that the transportation from between Savu-Savu and Lambasa are seamless and are comfortable. It's going to be very challenging. Lambasa is a thriving community and reliant a lot on the air services. So closing the airport for 4 to 6 weeks would be quite challenging. But Fiji Airports Limited and FijiLink are both up to the challenge, and they have programs in place to make it seamless and painless for our people in Lambasa and Savu-Savu. Thank you.
Honourable Ketanao.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, given that the Navualiku Tourism Development Program has taken a considerable amount of time to move towards implementation, and I understand many of the MPs here are from Vulnerable, including myself and the Honourable Prime Minister, can the Deputy Prime Minister explain why critical supporting infrastructure in Vulnerable, particularly in key tourism hubs such as Savu, remains in poor conditions with deteriorating roads and hospitals that are in urgent need of upgrades, and how the government justifies these delays when Vanuatu is a strategically important region for tourism growth, economic development, and national resilience? Thank you.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, let's remember one thing. This is a 10-year program, and funded by the World Bank. And the World Bank, Mr. Speaker, sir, for those who know, do things in a manner that is highly structured. So it took us about 12 months, even more, to hire the people that we needed for the project. And we had to interview people from New York, from Europe, all over the place to come to Fiji. People have said that World Bank, there can be too much consultation. But you're talking about $200 million US. You want to make sure that it's properly structured. Once that is in place, the program that is there, the execution, will flow. I can assure you of that. And we've seen projects in the past that were not properly structured. But for the World Bank, when they move, they do it properly. It can be a bit frustrating when you are the implementing agency, but that is the way they do things. And we are very confident over the next 10 years, we will see a huge difference in Vanuatu level. Thank you.
Thank you. Follow up, General.
Honorable Minister, with respect to the 200 USD or so forth amount of dollars that will be spent on this project, currently Savu needs urgent upgrades. Urgent upgrades in our hospitals. They don't have wheelchairs. There is no lights where the ED patients are waiting. I have seen them with my own eyes, and I've reported this in media as well. Roads infrastructure near resorts, Honorable Minister, is need urgent attention.
No, I will not allow. I was going to interject, but you go ahead, Honorable Minister. Yes, your point of order.
60 bracket 1, relevance. Ask a specific question, you're going all over the place. You're asking about roads, hospitals, everything. And even the roads, you did not specify which road. You just generalize. All the roads are in a deteriorated condition in Vanuatu. I just explained 300 million is with the Chinese government. A lot of the roads will be upgraded. In addition, there are others currently being, so you need to be specific. But you are just saying, every road in Vanuatu is deteriorated. I mean, what kind of a generalized statement is that? Don't make that kind of statement. Eh?
Order.
Don't make that kind of statement.
I will take the point that was raised by the Minister. I think you keep to the narrow questions that were supposed to be asked. Deputy Prime Minister, do you wish to respond to?
Sir, this is tourism and civil aviation. There are many sectors to our economy. What we are doing with $200 million US will lift up on a level in tourism and civil aviation. Other sectors will also join in. So, it's kind of a catalyst. You grow tourism and civil aviation, the economy grows in one level. Others will join in. So you'll see an overall improvement to one level, driven by tourism and civil aviation. Yeah.
Thank you. We will now go on to the seventh oral question for today. I will now call on the Honorable Virendra Lal to ask question 285 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to ask question 285 of 2025 under my name, and the question is directed to Minister for Information. Can the Minister inform Parliament on what steps the Ministry is taking to modernize its information system and strengthening digital platforms so that citizens can easily access government updates and services in a timely manner? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I call on the Minister for Information, Honorable Linda Sambuea.
Honourable Speaker, good afternoon, and I wish to thank the Honourable Member for the question, as this is the first question directed to me since I've become Minister for Information, so thank you. Since taking office, Honourable Speaker, I've prioritised the modernisation of our information systems and strengthening of our digital platforms so that every Fijian can easily access reliable, timely and accurate updates about their government. Well, Speaker, over 80% of Fiji are on Facebook. And since coming into office, our government Facebook page alone has grown by an average of 1,000 new followers every month, and now stands at almost 300,000 followers. This demonstrates increasing public confidence in our digital platforms. Our mission is simple. If it is not on our official government platforms, it must be fact-checked. This builds trust in government information and ensures Fijians can confidently share and repost accurate content. Now, allow me to outline a few key initiatives in the ministry. We are upgrading our digital platforms, especially our government-managed online systems, to improve performance, security, and accessibility. We are completing our full website upgrade for a cleaner, more user-friendly experience. We are developing a centralized one-stop government information portal. We're recovering and securing all data, Honourable Speaker, from the previously damaged server in the previous government administration and migrating it onto a new modern infrastructure. Honourable Speaker, in strengthening our social media and multimedia output, we have significantly expanded our digital content. This includes live streams and real-time updates for Parliament sittings, short videos, infographics, and mobile-friendly content for national announcements, a strengthened YouTube archive for long-form documentation, and reviving our government TikTok and Instagram platforms to reach younger Fijians. Honourable Speaker, in reaching our rural and maritime communities, we continue our town hall outreach in partnership with the Fiji Media Association to take government information beyond Suva and into rural and maritime communities. I wish to acknowledge the hard work of the Ministry of Justice taking out their services to rural and maritime Fiji, as well as the REACH program of the Ministry for Women, Children and Social Protection that takes out government services to the communities. And I ask our ministers to please participate in this very important program. We have increased our vernacular content, strengthened our radio outreach through the participation of government officials in radio broadcasting as well as TV programs and online engagements. We've improved our distribution of the government newspapers across provinces using our government networks. Now, of course, as our government increases connectivity throughout Fiji, government information can be disseminated quicker on digital platforms. Honourable Speaker, as we are now in the rainy and cyclone season, our ministry leads the Community Engagement Working Group under the Communications Cluster of the National Disaster Management Council, together with FCOS and UNICEF. The last meeting of this group was in 2021. We have now revived it as we are now in the cyclone season. We are working with media partners such as FBC and the NDMO communications offices to roll out disaster preparedness and early warning messages in the languages and mediums our people best understand. This work falls under the Public Service Broadcasting Grant to better serve our people. We've also strengthened our Media Liaison Officer Network, Honourable Speaker, in government. Cabinet has endorsed the strengthening of our MLO network across all ministries to ensure consistent messaging, accurate information, timely public updates, proper staffing and equipment. I wish to thank the Government of the United Kingdom for their ongoing partnership through the UK Government Communications Service, which is supporting training in digital communication, including the effective use of AI and strategies to address misinformation and disinformation online. We now have a dedicated Parliament communications team across ministries to ensure that key information presented here in Parliament is shared promptly and meaningfully with the public. Honourable Speaker, the National Archives, which comes under our ministry, has digitized over 60,000 Girmitia immigration records, which will soon be available online. This advances heritage preservation, public access, and the modernization of archival systems. Finally, Honourable Speaker, we are continuously upskilling our staff to manage modern communication tools and produce high-quality content. We continue partnerships with local and international experts, including our valued collaboration with the UK GCS, which is assisting our ministry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Defense, and will soon extend to other ministries as well. Together, we have developed a draft government communications handbook for all media liaison officers. And this is not just for government ministries, but also statutory authorities and independent commissions or independent bodies. We'll be finalizing this, Honorable Speaker, and submit it to Cabinet. Honorable Speaker, I just want to talk about, as we are in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, we must confront the new frontier of harm facing our people, especially our women and girls, and that is digital violence. Online abuse, cyber harassment, non-consensual sharing of images, coordinated misinformation, and the weaponization of social media have become real threats to the safety, dignity, and protection in public life. In this digital era, violence does not require a physical space to inflict deep emotional, psychological, and reputational damage. As Minister for Information, I reaffirm our commitment to strengthening online safety frameworks, promoting responsible digital citizenship, and working closely with technology partners, civil society, and our communities to ensure that the digital space becomes a space of empowerment, not fear. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to take this opportunity through your Parliament's digital platform to appeal directly to parents and guardians as we enter into the cyclone season. More rain predicted in the coming weeks, we can expect increased flooding, swollen rivers, and rough seas. I urge families across the country to take extra precautions to keep our children and most vulnerable safe. Ensure they are closely supervised, discourage them from swimming in rivers and flooded waters, and prevent them from playing in flooded areas. Honorable Speaker, these simple but vital measures can save lives. Honorable Speaker, the vision of the coalition government remains clear, and that is a well-informed Fiji. These initiatives I've mentioned demonstrates our commitment to building a modern, efficient, and citizen-centered information ecosystem. So we're ensuring that every Fijian, whether you are in Suva, Nadi, or our most remote maritime communities, that they have timely and accurate access to government information. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Tambuya, for her response. Let me begin from Honorable Lal, who asked the question, and then I go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank the Minister for the comprehensive answer. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, it has been brought to our attention that the number of people using these government online services has significantly reduced. And this is due to the services not available, portals down. Can the Minister explain this, please? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, did you hear the question?
Can you just repeat the question,
Right,
please? Thank you.
Can you?
My question is that the number of people using the online government services has significantly reduced. Can you explain this?
Honorable Speaker, this is the first time I'm hearing of this. As I'd explained, we have seen a huge increase in the number of followers on our Facebook page, as well as our Instagram and TikTok and X accounts. So the public is engaging and receiving information from our online portals. So if the honourable member has statistics or any data to back up what he's asked, I'd be very happy to have a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Koya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable Minister, there was just recently a survey done by the BBC. It was a media action survey. I'm just wondering whether our media platforms, in terms of the ministry, were part of that survey or not.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Koya. Yes, this report was just launched, I believe, this morning. And I did raise with the UK government as we did not receive an invite. So I am not fully aware of the contents of that report, but I would certainly like to see. I know our ministry did not participate, but it was the media outlets outside of ministry that were surveyed. And yes, it did report that Fiji Village was a trusted source of information outside of, well, not outside of government, but they've stated that. That's what they found in the survey. We've just dealt with an issue of misinformation earlier this week with Fiji Village. We've addressed that, and I think that has been put to rest with the Great Council of Chiefs issuing a statement about that issue. But as far as government is concerned, we did not participate in that survey. Thank you.
Honorable Ketanal.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Can the Honorable Minister also inform this Parliament how the Ministry ensures that these so-called modernized digital platforms promote transparency and inclusivity when there has been repeated complaints from citizens that they are being blocked or restricted from commenting on Fiji government Facebook pages for expressing their views? The evidence is already posted online. Check.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Ketan Lal. Again, since coming into office, there have been no restrictions on online content, on comments. Of course, if there's vulgarity, if there's any disrespect, we do hide those comments. But as far as a public discourse, it is open for people to make comments. So thank you.
Honorable Sharma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank the Minister for speaking on strengthening digital platforms and government platforms. But the question to the Minister is, what comprehensive safeguard mechanisms is your Ministry establishing with the media outlets for the protection of our journalists from violence, threats, and harassment, looking at the recent incident that just happened?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, a very good point, Honorable Sharma. I do want to take this opportunity to condemn that attack on the senior journalist from FBC outside court the other day. That is not accepted in any form. Of course, I have addressed this with the Minister of Policing, who has made a statement and has assured that he's addressed this with the Commissioner of Police, calling on the Fiji Police Force for more stringent measures in terms of the escort that is provided to our convicted persons as they leave court. Yes, there have been comments about where they've stated that journalists deserve that treatment. There is no acceptance at all of any form of violence against another human being. And I think we need to all condemn that attack. Whether it's a journalist, a member of the public, they need to be safe when they are out in public, especially from those that have come out of court, convicted persons. And we just have asked the Fiji Police Force to step up their security around that. Thank you.
You are not going to pursue the same line you're pursuing, because what you said is she's already said she's not aware, right? So that denies basically what you're trying to assert, right? Are you going another direction?
A follow-up question more of appealing to the Minister.
Right. Thank you.
Can the Honourable Minister provide a platform or an appeal process where citizens who are complaining can directly talk to the Ministry and ask how can they be unblocked or unrestricted?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Firstly, our media team or our news team do monitor comments. And when complaints or issues arise from these comments, we do try our best to address it. If it is directed to another ministry, then we do flag that with other ministries. There's also the Online Safety Commission that have their online reporting. That doesn't fall under our ministry, but we do refer them if there's any online harm against the individual. And also there's always where they can file a complaint with the Fiji Police Force in terms of any other forms of online violence that they are facing. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. And I will call on Honorable Ratu Requita Walalambure to ask question 286 of 2025.
Honorable Speaker, question 286 of 2025 is the name directed to the Minister for Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management. Can the Honourable Minister update Parliament on Fiji's participation in the disaster relief assistance in the region since January 2023? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I call on the Minister for Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management, the Honorable Sekiu Senditoka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thank the Honorable Assistant Minister for the question. And just before I address the principal question, Honorable Speaker, I'd just like to address an issue that the Honorable Usamate had raised about Mataso community in Kandau. Mr. Speaker, so following the devastation caused by Tropical Cyclone Harold in 2020, Ministry of Forestry initiated a community-based timber recovery and housing support initiative in Kandau in direct consultation with the Mataso community. Commitments made by the previous administration through the Ministry of Forestry included the following: Mataso community to supply pine timber from their local resources, Ministry of Forestry to undertake the felling, cutting and ripping of the timber. The Ministry of Forestry would also be responsible for the treatment process, including the provision of chemicals and technical support. The community to construct a shed to support further dyeing and treatment of the timber. And upon completion of the full treatment process, all treated timber will be handed over to the community. All this arrangement, Mr. Speaker, sir, was done verbally without any agreement signed between the parties. So our team, led by the Commissioner Eastern, will be visiting Kandau next week. As part of the mission, they will also conduct a site visit to the community to verify the status of the project before finalizing any further housing assistance under Scheme 3. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The patience. I now address the principal question. Speaker, sir, to update this Honorable House on the assistance that Fiji has extended to our Pacific neighbors in the area of disaster response since 2023. As global negotiations, Mr. Speaker, sir, have concluded recently in Brazil under the Conference of Parties, we in the Pacific are reminded yet again that while the world debates, we live the reality. The frequency and intensity of hydrometeorological hazards such as cyclones, floods, and severe storms continue to increase. Fiji has felt this firsthand, and so have our Pacific brothers and sisters. In addition to these climate-driven disasters, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Pacific Ring of Fire exposes our island nations to geophysical hazards such as earthquakes and tsunamis. The 2022 Hanga Hapai eruption and the devastating Vanuatu earthquake in 2024 are stark reminders of how vulnerable we are as a region. Fiji has a proud and consistent record of standing with our neighbors in their darkest hours. This is not new. In 2015, following the devastation of Tropical Cyclone Pam, Fiji deployed a response team to Vanuatu to provide support relief and early recovery. In 2020, through the Republic of Fiji military forces, Fiji sent an engineering platoon to Australia at the height of their catastrophic bushfires, demonstrating that our solidarity extends beyond the Pacific. And more recently, Mr. Speaker, sir, the spirit of Pacific unity has remained strong. When tropical cyclones Kevin and Judy struck Vanuatu in February 2023, destruction was severe and a state of disaster was declared. In response, Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji offered its assistance without hesitation, and our offer was accepted. A 56-member response team, including officials from the Ministry of Health and Medical Services, the Ministry of Information, National Disaster Management Office, and the Republic of Fiji military forces was deployed. This team repaired damaged schools and public facilities, provided clinical services, supported community outreach, and was embedded with the Vanuatu NDMO to strengthen coordination. Fiji also provided food supplies and water, delivering immediate practical relief. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, sir, Tropical Cyclone Gabrielle caused catastrophic damage across New Zealand's North Island, with losses estimated at 13 million New Zealand dollars. 13 billion New Zealand dollars. Fiji again responded, deploying a 33-member team from the RFMF, NDRMO, and the National Fire Authority. They supported rapid response operations, debris clearance, infrastructure repairs, search and rescue, and reinforced the operations of the New Zealand National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. And following the 2024 earthquake in Vanuatu, which severely affected Port Vila, Fiji deployed a 5-member technical team to support advisory and coordination functions for the Vanuatu NDMO. In addition, the government of Fiji donated 1 million Fiji dollars to support Vanuatu's recovery. These actions, Mr. Speaker, sir, are not isolated events. They reflect a strategic commitment to the principles of regionalism under the Boe Declaration on Regional Security and the 2050 Strategy for the Blue Pacific Continent. Fiji is not merely a signatory, we are a nation that acts. Fiji's National Disaster Risk Management Office has played a pivotal role in shaping Pacific Humanitarian Response Coordination Mechanism, now endorsed by the disaster ministers across the region. This framework will guide further regional disaster deployment. On the domestic front, Mr. Speaker, sir, the recently enacted National Disaster Risk Management Act has strengthened our institutional readiness. A national emergency response team has been established, and 72 personnel across our first responder agencies, civil society, and government have been fully trained and stand ready for deployment at any time. The Act further provides for the establishment of an international deployment plan, ensuring a structured, coordinated, and timely assistance whenever Fiji is called upon. Additionally, sectoral emergency response teams, especially within the Ministry of Health, are fully prepared for regional deployment during health-related emergencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, in summary, Fiji continues to lead the Pacific by example. We are not a nation that watches from the sidelines. We are not a nation that waits for others to act. We are a nation that responds, a nation that mobilizes, and a nation that stands with our neighbors when it matters the most. The Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management assures this Honorable House that Fiji is ready through its trained personnel, strengthened legislation, and well-established systems to respond swiftly and effectively to any request for assistance from our Pacific neighbors. Fiji will always be a nation that turns solidarity into action and commitment into results. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Honourable Minister Tucker. We now entertain supplementary. Honourable Ratu Alalamure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Supplementary question. My supplementary question is in two parts. Can the Honorable Minister inform the House how soon will the Pacific Humanitarian Purpose Coordination Mechanism will be ready? And secondly, if it's ready, will this not duplicate the normal bilateral agreements and arrangements already that countries have in terms of responses to disaster? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank the Honourable Member for the supplementary question. The Pacific Humanitarian Response Coordination Mechanism, or PRESCOM, its operating guidelines have been endorsed by the Pacific Ministers for Disasters. The next step will be its integration into the standard operating procedures for national disaster management officers across the Pacific. The PRESCOM does not replace the bilateral arrangements that countries in the region have with each other in terms of disaster response and assistance. It offers an alternative mechanism for disaster management officers to access support from the Secretariat of the Pacific Community, or SPC, to coordinate regional assistance from assisting countries and organizations. What usually happens, Mr. Speaker, sir, during a disaster is that countries are inundated with offers of assistance from neighboring countries and international humanitarian organizations. This places pressure on the disaster management officers and ministries of foreign affairs to coordinate and facilitate on top of their responsibilities to respond to the domestic disaster situation. So through PRESCOM, Mr. Speaker, sir, disaster management officers can then request and delegate the SPC to assume this responsibility to coordinate regional and international assistance on our behalf in coordination with the respective country foreign affairs. And this arrangement allows national response agencies to focus fully on managing the crisis on the ground. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. We will now move on to the next oral question. I now call on the Honourable Tony Musumati to ask question 287 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, the question is addressed to the Minister for Justice and Acting Attorney General. Given the increasing incidence of drugs in Fiji, what changes is government considering on penalties for drug offences? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If I can preempt the answer from the Minister of Justice, let me put this into context as my understanding as a chair. The question is going only to the general policy directions and the approach for the future by the government. It is not intended, neither should it be in a way implicating any of the cases that are before the court. Right? That's my understanding. Correct. Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Precisely, that's how we're going to address the question. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the Honorable Member for the question and providing the response to the question under caveat that recommendations to changes to penalties have been wide-ranging, emotional, solicited and unsolicited from a wide range of actors within government and outside government. If I may start, Mr. Speaker, sir, just going to the law, Illicit Drugs Control Act 2004, Section 4. For one, unlawful importation and exportation. Any person who, without lawful authority, proof of which lies upon that person, import or export an illicit drug, commits an offense, and is liable upon conviction to a fine not exceeding 1 million or to imprisonment for life or both. Subsection 2, in any proceeding under this part, proof of lawful authority lies upon the accused person. Second relevant part is Section 5, deals with unlawful possession, manufacture, cultivation, supply. It reads, any person who, without lawful authority, A, acquires, supplies, possesses, produces, manufactures, cultivates, uses, or administers an illicit drug, or engage in any dealing with any person for the transfer, transport, supply, use, manufacture, offer, sale, import, or export of an illicit drug, commits an offense, and is liable to conviction to a fine not exceeding 1 million or imprisonment for life or both. Any proposed changes, Mr. Speaker, sir, to the penalties for drug offense must align with the national counter-narcotic strategy of 2023 to 28 and be grounded in robust and coherent legal framework. They must also take into account Fiji's obligations under the international conventions we have ratified, as well as the financial and operational implications for law enforcement agencies, the judiciary, the correctional services. Above all, such reform must be crafted with traditional political and legal mandate for our people, ensuring that they reflect both our national values and our constitutional responsibilities. The current sentencing guideline may apply across all acts identified under Section 4 and 5 of the Illicit Drugs Control Act 2004, subject to the relevant provisions of law, considering the mitigating factors, the aggravating factors, and the sentencing discretion in each individual case. So if I may just outline, these are the category as it is. Then we're talking about the strong drugs, not marijuana. Up to 5 grams, 2.5 years to 4.5 years imprisonment. Category 2, more than 5 grams to 250 grams, 3.5 years to 10 years imprisonment. Category 3, more than 250 grams to 500 grams, 9 years to 16 years imprisonment. Category 4, more than 500 grams to 1 kg, 15 years to 22 years imprisonment. And then category 5, more than 1 kg, 20 years to life imprisonment. That is basically the tariff. Mr. Speaker, sir, the sentencing guidelines exist, and with improved training and case law across judiciary, drug offenders, users, and distributors, those involved in the supply chain now know and must be to appreciate that our judiciary is applying the law in the manner in which it was intended, to deter, to denounce, to rehabilitate, and to punish. Mr. Speaker, sir, the demographics most affected by drug arrest in Fiji, as highlighted in the strategy, are, in terms of age group, 18 to 35 years. This group accounts for 65% of drug-related arrests, making it the most significant age category affected. Ages 36 to 55 years. This is the second most affected group, contributing to 29% of the arrest. Juveniles below 18 years represent 4% of the arrest. 56 years and older account for a smaller percentage of arrests. In terms of ethnicity, Itoke community disproportionately affected, with 80% of drug-related arrests in the first half of 2020. In terms of gender, men probably affected, making up 98% of the drug-related arrests in the first half of 2020. For employment status, many arrested individuals are either farmers or unemployed. In terms of geographic, highlighting the vulnerability of our young adults, particularly men from the Itoke community, to drug-related activities and arrest. Mr. Speaker, sir, any changes to the penalties must be within the context of the law, and where following wide public consultations, there is a call for changes to the penalties, more harsh or severe. This government will respond. We will respond with adequate resourcing, legal framework development, and training for all our people, from community-based services to civil servants, government agencies, judiciary, and throughout the law enforcement agencies. We will also engage with our development and technical partners to ensure that the legislation penalties that we draft improve the safety of our people and our children, whilst also sending a stark warning to everyone considering drug use, drug distribution, that our current setting stereotypes have been used in recent cases and will continue to be used by the learned judiciary. The legal regime aims to improve uniformity and proportionality in punishing serious drug offenses. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Minister and the Acting Attorney, the Honorable Suranga, for his response. Are there any supplementary? I don't see any. We will now move on to the next question. I will call on the Honorable Ratu Chosai Nyundamu to ask question 288 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to ask question 288 of 2025. Listed under my name in today's order paper, directed to the Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development. Can the Minister update Parliament on the review of the FNPF Act and Special Death Benefit Regulations? Minak.
Thank you. I now call on the Minister of Finance, Commerce and Business Development, the Honorable Swami Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to thank the honourable member for the question, to provide an update on the review of the Fiji National Provident Fund Act 2011 and the Special Death Benefit Regulations of 2022. By way of background, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Act was enacted and came into effect in November 2011 with the following principal objectives. Ensure that workers will accumulate savings throughout their working lives to provide income after they cease working. Second is improve the operation and governance of FNPF. And thirdly is to assist FNPF to explore fund scheme for Fijian workers overseas. The Special Death Benefit Regulations came into effect on 1st of July 2022 that governs the financial support provided to dependents of FNPF members upon the members' untimely death, especially outlining the eligibility criteria, premium rates, and the process for applying and receiving the benefit. On October 2025, Cabinet approved the review of the Act and the regulations following FNPF's request to undertake a comprehensive review of the Act aimed at ensuring the Act remain robust, relevant, and effective in safeguarding the interests of its members and adapting to the evolving economic and social landscape. The Act has not undergone a comprehensive review since its enactment. However, it should be noted that amendments have been made over the years, primarily as budget amendments or as consequential amendments. The main objectives of the review of the Act are as follows. Evaluate the current FNPF legislation in terms of the effectiveness of the current scheme design, efficiency, and alignment with the objectives and functions of the fund. Second is to identify the gaps and challenges in the law that may hinder the system's sustainability, accessibility, fairness, and effectiveness. Third is to assess the impact of the regulatory environment, the fund's appetite, and national capacity to enable the fund to expand its universe. And the fourth is to ensure alignment with the international best practices while considering local context and assess current law with similar laws in other countries suitable for FNPF and Fiji. The regulations are integrated into this broader review to ensure consistency and coherence to the overall framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, a law review committee has been established to formulate terms of reference for the consultancy firm to undertake the review process. This committee includes employers, worker representatives, ensuring a balanced, inclusive, and credible approach. The committee activities to date include public engagements. The committee has conducted public consultation in 3 major centers, Suva, Lautoka, and Lambasa, to gather diverse perspectives from our communities. Second is to accept written submissions. Third, we conducted online survey, which had been promoted across social media platforms to maximize accessibility. And fourth, stakeholder engagement. The committee held meetings with key stakeholders, including relevant government ministries, the Reserve Bank of Fiji, Fiji Commerce and Employees Federations, and the unions. The fund intends to appoint a consultancy firm through a competitive process to assist with the review. The engagement will be structured to ensure rigorous analysis, robust stakeholder input, and actionable recommendations. The overall reform exercise is expected to be completed by 2027. This timeline reflects a careful, evidence-based approach that balances thorough analysis with timely delivery. Pursuant to the 28th October Cabinet decision, the outcome of the review, including any bill and or regulations emanating from the review, will be brought back to Cabinet for its consideration. Honorable members, this is a transformative endeavor that seeks to strengthen social protection framework for FNPF members. I call on members to support a rigorous, inclusive, and timely review. Let us work together to deliver a robust, modern FNPF Act and associated regulations that will benefit current and future generations of Fijians. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Emmanuel, for his response. Are there any supplementary questions? Honorable Rokomatu, I recognize.
Speaker, sir, my supplementary question to Honorable Minister. When do you expect the review and commence and to complete? Vinaka.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for the supplementary question. The law review has commenced with the fund setting up a committee, as I mentioned already, to undertake public consultation and draft the terms of reference for the consultant to assist with the review process. So the consultants are expected to commence work in April next year, and recommendations will be brought back to Cabinet and appropriate approval before drafting of the amended legislation. So we expect the whole exercise to be completed by 2027.
Thank you. For the last oral question for today, I will call on the Honorable Joseph Nunn to ask question 303 of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to ask question 303 of 2025 to the Minister for Youth and Sports. Question is, can the Minister inform Parliament if there are plans to host a leg of HSBC IRB7 tournament in Fiji next year? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I call on the Minister for Youth and Sports, the Honorable Chester Saukuru.
Honorable Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for the question. But before I proceed, sir, Allow me to share a few acknowledgements. First, I wish to pay my tribute and respect in the passing of Mr. Isimeli Savutini Mbose, a corporate executive, founder, and former chief executive officer of Zimbabwe Provincial Holdings, a position he held for 26 years before stepping down early this year. He also served as the first local Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Ports Authority of Fiji and was the National Campaign Manager for the Alliance Party in Fiji in the 1970s and 1980s. Mr. Mbose was a former parliamentarian and served as the Minister for Public Enterprise in the SPT government under the leadership of his old boy from QBS, our current Prime Minister. And it is often described as a very reserved person. Tawarungutiaro kotorigi na lolo alianzia sana le vomba. Na vono maro del nyavona dikilangi. Matangali nzugumotu. Na vali una visusu na. Sama iwagarungoni na lenzu vanoa. Matungangwa. Sama yanga vali usaka. Alendro Vingoravi. Honorable Isimeli Savutini Mbose, Sir, may your soul rest in peace. Second, I also wish to congratulate Ratuchone Sovasova as he ascended the chiefly position of the Momo Levu Natubitong and Tauke Suganadang. Ratuchone Sovasova is the eldest son of the late Ratu Chobe Satana, Dauru Atana Sovasova and Andinai Sovasova, and will be traditionally installed on Friday, the 28th November. He succeeded the late Ratu Williame Ratundale Sovasova, who passed away in 2023. Burukalunga takotorigi na momo levu na tuvitongo. Buruzola mbalavu, buruzola ngwangwa. Honorable Speaker, we should all thank the Fiji Rugby Union and congratulate our courageous Fiji Water Flying Fijians for continuing to punch above our weight in the sport of rugby. Fiji has been officially invited to compete in the inaugural Nations Championship, launching in July 2026. This groundbreaking global tournament is set to redefine international rugby and elevate Fiji onto the world's premier competitive stage every 2 years. This milestone represents one of the most significant achievements in the Fiji rugby history, firmly establishing the nation among the world's elite rugby powers. Fiji joins Japan as an invitational Southern Hemisphere nation, competing a formidable lineup alongside New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Argentina, and the Six Nations giants of England, France, Ireland, Italy, Scotland, and Wales of the Northern Hemisphere. Nawalevu nangito na dhorbo. Nawalevu na varungi viti tiko kina viasai vurbur. Back to the question, sir. At present, there are no plans for Fiji to host a leg of the HSBC World Rugby Sevens next year. Honorable Speaker, hosting a leg of the HSB Sevens series requires meeting several stringent criteria set by the World Rugby, with infrastructure being one of the most critical determining factors. While there is strong support for Fiji's potential to one day host a tournament, the Fiji Rugby Union is fully aware that our national sporting infrastructure must first be significantly upgraded. To host a series leg, a country must have a stadium with a minimum seating capacity of 25,000, world-class amenities, and professional-grade facilities. Supporting infrastructure required by World Rugby, including appropriate broadcast, security, and operational capabilities, and proximity to essential services, particularly hospitals and international airports. Honorable Speaker, these requirements highlight the need for continued investment in Fiji's ports infrastructure. The government, we are talking to investors, working closely with key stakeholders, and will continue to explore opportunities for future hosting once these fundamental or the foundational requirements are met. Under the new structure of the Nations Championship, every nation will play 6 cross-hemisphere fixtures. The Northern Hemisphere teams will travel south in July, while the Southern Hemisphere teams, including Fiji, will travel north in November. For Fiji, this guarantees regular, meaningful, world-class test rugby, a historic first for the nation, but none of Fiji's games will be played here for the very same reasons stated above. In summary, while Fiji has strong global brand recognition in rugby and the passion to host such an event, infrastructure development remains the key priority before any formal bid can be pursued. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I thank the Minister, the Honourable Sokuru, for his response. Are there any supplementary? Yes, I recognize the Honourable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Joseph Nant. Yes,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank Minister for a very comprehensive answer. Just a short question: by when? Is there any time frame by when we should be able to, or we are in a position to host such international tournament?
Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker, through you, as I've stated, we're trying our best. We've been talking to some investors as well, trying to facilitate if we can do that sooner, so we can enjoy rugby here at home.
Thank you, Minister. We will move on to the next items, and those are the written questions. But before I do, I think it would be appropriate for me, on behalf of this Parliament, to convey our deepest condolences, the passing of Nelson Bosse, a former cabinet minister and a member of this Parliament. So we convey our deepest condolences to him and to his family, and may his soul rest in peace. We move on to the first written question, honourable members. I now call on the Honourable Hem Chan to ask his written question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question 289 of 2025, which is under my name, and the question is directed to Minister for Education.
Thank you. I call on the Minister for Education, the Honourable Esther Redondo.
Mr. Speaker, I table my response according to this.
The response is at hand. Please send the response over to the Secretary General. Thank you, Honourable Minister. I now call on the Honourable Sakusa Tumbuna to ask his written question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to ask question 290 2025 to the Minister for Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management.
I now call on the Minister for Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management, the Honourable Sakusa Nditoka.
Speaker, I hereby table my response.
Thank you. The response is at hand. Please pass it on to the Secretary General. Thank you. The last written question of the day, I call on the Honourable, the Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Inies Ratu, to ask his written question.
Thank you, sir. I rise to ask written question 291 2025, and it's directed to the Honourable Minister for Justice and Acting Attorney General.
Thank you. I call on the Minister for Justice and the Acting Attorney, the Honourable Siromir Turanga.
Honorable Speaker, I have the written answer prepared.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Ministers. We will now move on. The question time is over. Secretary General.
Consideration of bills.
Honorable members, please take note that we have two bills to deal with today. The first bill will be the second reading, and the second bill will be moved under Standing Order 51. I now call on the Minister for Education, the Honorable Asheri Randondo, to move his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Pursuant to Standing Order 85, Clause 1, I move that the Education Bill 2025 be now read a second time.
Who is that seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Here, the Honorable Leader of Government in the House. Before I invite the mover of the motion to speak, I remind honorable members that in accordance with Standing Order 85, Clause 1, the debate will focus on the principles and merits of the bill only. So I now call upon the Honorable Minister for Education to speak on his motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The bill before this August House is the Education Bill 2025. It was tabled for first reading on Friday, 7th November 2025. It is before this House again for second reading today. As the Minister responsible for education, and also as the member introduced the bill to this August House, I wish to highlight some historical information relating to this bill. A review of the current Education Act 1966 was undertaken by the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the Fiji Law Reform Commission. This memo thus began in 2024 and concluded early this year. Speaker, sir, the review of the Ministry of Education Act of 1966 is warranted because of the need for it to be relevant to the modern education issues and development. Since the current Act was developed and adopted in 1966, many provisions may no longer reflect the emerging issues and today's issue relating to education. Mr. Speaker, sir, we received funding assistance for the review from the Global Partnership Education, the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or UNICEF, and the Australia-Fiji Education Program, AFEP. We are indeed grateful to these organizations and platform for their technical and financial support, as well as their shared commitment to this worthy cause. Mr. Speaker, the current Act is the foundational law for pre-tertiary education in Fiji, and since its promulgation in 1966, it has only been amended 7 times: 1968, 1970, 75, 76, 1998, 2009, and 2016. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, no comprehensive full-scope review of the current Act was ever undertaken. Therefore, it became imperative that such integral legislation be reviewed and reformed to update it to modern standards and best practices, and to also address the since developed and under-developing issues and concerns with the education system. To facilitate the review, the Ministry of Education appointed a review committee in March last year, led by Ms. Rogumbona Yanga, a seasoned and well-respected professional educator. Also included in the review committee, Mr. David Solvalu, legal drafter, Ms. Leanne Rorasi, legal drafter, Ms. Magdalene Ramoala, legal officer with the Fiji Law Reform Commission, Ms. Joyce Hicks, also a legal officer at the Fiji Law Reform Commission. Team, Mr. Speaker, sir, was also assisted and supported by staff from the Ministry of Education and Solicitor General's Office. Mr. Speaker, sir, extensive in-person public consultations and targeted meeting were also conducted to gather valuable insights and feedback on the review of the current Act. The comprehensive chronology of events spanned various venues across Fiji and engaged in diverse range of stakeholders, such as government ministries, statutory entities, school management committees, faith-based organizations, teacher associations, higher education institutions, and the general public, including in particular teachers, parents, and children. Mr. Speaker, sir, the consultation commenced with the awareness and scoping workshop in Suva in March and at Pacific Harbour in April 2024, followed by targeted meetings with government ministries and stakeholders again in Suva. Subsequently, a series of public consultations were held in different locations, including Rakiraki, Tahua, Mba, Lautoka, Nandi, Navosa, Singatoka, Suva, Nasinu, Nosori, Levuka, Taveuni, Savu-Savu, Mbua, and Lambasa, amongst others. Also, virtual consultations were conducted to ensure broader participation, including sessions in Rambi, Kandavu, Tuma, and Lau. The review committee further engaged with key organizations such as the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation, the Secretary of the Pacific Community, the Bureau of Statistics, the Higher Education Commission, and the University of Fiji to gather diverse perspectives and insights. The targeted meetings aim to enhance collaboration and incorporate industry and regional perspectives into the education policy review process. The valuable feedback, Mr. Speaker, gathered from these interactions played a pivotal role in informing the revision and policy direction of the current Act, ensuring that the education landscape aligns with the aspirations and needs of the Fijian community. The review committee organized a validation workshop on 8 and 9 July 2025, bringing together senior officials from the Ministry of Education and key stakeholders to deliberate on the outcomes of the review and the recommendations put forth by the review committee. This session served as a crucial platform for validating the findings, the insights, and proposed actions derived from the comprehensive review process. During the workshop, Mr. Speaker, in-depth discussions were held to assess the alignment of the review committee's recommendation with the overarching goals and priorities of the Ministry of Education. The active participation of key stakeholders facilitated a robust exchange of perspectives, ensuring that diverse viewpoints were considered in the validation of the review outcomes. Mr. Speaker, sir, based on the extensive feedback from public consultation, written submissions, questionnaires, responses, and targeted stakeholder meetings, the bill was adopted. The bill was also vetted by the Office of the Solicitor General for legal implications. Pertinent features of the bill, Mr. Speaker, sir. Bill seeks to repeal the Education Act of 1966, the Fiji Teachers Registration Act 2008, and the Higher Education Act 2008, and to replace them with a single comprehensive piece of legislation for education in Fiji. The proposed bill intends to capture the development that have occurred in the education space over the span of the last 5 decades since the first Act of 1966 to include more diverse forms of learning, including digital use. Lessons that address emerging issues like climate change, financial literacy, and other pertinent subject lessons, as well as having a legislation that addresses the environment of teaching and learning, etc. Part of the recommended changes of the Act is proposing the establishment of the National Curriculum and Assessment Authority, including its membership, its functions, its powers, and meetings. And currently, curriculums are set by the Permanent Secretary through an internal ministry unit. Mr. Speaker, sir, the proposed authority will be responsible for advising the Minister of Education on curriculum, on assessment, and educational standards, and for developing national curriculum frameworks, conducting research, and collaborating with stakeholders. And it must publish an annual report on its performance, and members are protected from liability unless acting in good faith. Since the initial Education Act came into law, fundamental changes have also developed in the areas of human rights and child protection. Likewise, on employment laws that promote safe working spaces. And incidentally, the prohibition of corporal punishment have become global standards for learning environments, and these laws have been introduced into Fiji. The proposed bill intends to propose proactive measures to address indiscipline. The education bill looks to counseling and a more targeted curriculum, especially in formative years, as a recommended strategy to establishing a well-rounded, respectable, and highly performing student character. The new feature of the bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that unlike the current system, schools will be able to conduct fundraising activities for the list of approved purposes. This will allow schools more flexibility with fundraising, provided that fundraising is truly voluntary and parents are not coerced in any way. Another new and important feature is that schools will be able to charge levies for specific purposes, including the improvement of infrastructure, maintenance, to purchase, to improve the quality of learning. And this, however, will be tightly regulated to ensure that levies are reasonable, equitable, and not excessive or burdensome to a parent. Mr. Speaker, sir, financial management, record keeping, and reporting requirements are outlined, including the need for financial statements to be prepared and audited annually. The accounts and financial statements of the schools must be audited by an authorized auditor, and an annual report must be submitted to the Permanent Secretary. Part 12 of the bill outlines the establishment and functions of the Fiji Teachers Registration Authority and the Fiji Teachers Registration Board. The FTRA is properly established as a body corporate with various powers, including the ability to collect fees, to investigate complaints, and produce materials for its functions. Much of the provisions under this Act are retained from the current Fiji Teachers Registration Act 2008, with some key improvements to ensure operational efficiency within the authority. The board is responsible for registering qualified teachers, overseeing disciplinary measures, collaborating with relevant stakeholders, and developing professional teaching standards and ethics. The board may delegate its powers, establish committees, and appoint a chief executive officer. Mr. Speaker, sir, Part 13 of the bill outlines the regulations and requirements for higher education institutions in Fiji. This part also retains much of the framework under the current Higher Education Act 2008, with key changes to improve operational efficiency, such as moving from a two-step to a single-step process of registration. It covers the establishment, registration, and accreditation of universities and other higher education institutions, as well as the functions and powers of the Higher Education Commission. It also includes provisions for appeals, financial management, reporting, and winding up of institutions. The Commission has the authority to regulate and oversee higher education institutions to ensure they meet national standards and provide quality education. Part 14 of the bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, sets out the general powers of the Minister for Education and the Permanent Secretary. This part allows the Minister to give directions to the Permanent Secretary on how to exercise the powers and functions under the Act. It also clarifies that the Minister is not bound by the advice of the Council, but must consult with them. Mr. Speaker, sir, this coalition government is committed to prioritizing education for our children. The bill proposes reforms that will help improve the education system in this country and ensure that quality education is provided to our children. It is a step in the right direction for everyone concerned. Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore urge all the honourable members to vote in support of the motion that is before this August House, so that the bill can be referred to the appropriate standing committee for further scrutiny and supplementary consultations with the people of Fiji. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Minister. Honourable members, the floor is now open for debate on the motion. At the end of the debate, we will have the right of reply from the mover. I first call on the Honourable Professor Biman Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Honourable Minister for the articulation on the bill. As the Minister said, I think this is a very timely and well-considered, thoughtful approach to consolidating all the different parts, particularly legislations that affect the education system. And the Minister is correct. We're looking at 1966 Act. And Mr. Speaker, say a number of reforms have been instituted over the years, some quite radical, some haphazard, and I think it has produced a situation where we are now concerned about the quality of education, the framework within which a number of different entities operate. And so I think from that point of view, as a matter of principle, this bill is a very timely one. I went through the bill, Mr. Speaker, say last night, and there are a number of principles that emerge quite forcefully, and I want to just point out some of those. Things such as governance, accountability, and transparency itself will be dealt with by the two major national bodies, the Education Advisory Council, the National Curriculum Assessment Authority, teacher registration. These are governance aspects, Mr. Speaker, say, which are very important, and it's well consolidated in the bill. The second principle that I identified, Mr. Speaker, say, is the inclusivity and equity. And I know this bill is also being driven by the discussions at the Denarau meeting, the Denarau Declaration, the policy issues paper preceded the bill, recognized the importance of early childhood education, and we, as you know, in the last budget, we've gone further and recognized the contribution of the early childhood teachers, regularizing their salaries, and they are now employed full-time. So that's a very important principle of the bill, Mr. Speaker, say inclusivity and equity. The third principle that comes out very well in this is the idea of holistic and lifelong education. Beyond the traditional school years, it covers mature students. Important one, Honourable Minister, that I identified in the bill is, homeschooling, higher education regulation, the principle of aligning curriculum assessment and learning outcomes, and global best practices, in different areas are very, very important. And the two final principles that I identified is the alignment with international and national frameworks. Again, 1966 Act is a very old act, outdated, and it's kind of not aligned with modern education practices, education demands, international treaties, our national development plan. And that leads us to the fifth principle of standards of teaching and learning. I know we've had a number of questions and discussions in this parliament about quality, about standards of teaching and learning. And I think the bill, Mr. Speaker, says, as a matter of principle, strengthens some of those requirements, and which will enhance learning and teaching in the classroom, as well as teacher standards and quality. the benefits of this bill, which we call the merits. And again, I can identify a number of merits from this bill, and the minister alluded to some of them. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is really the relevance to economic and social development. A more flexible, future-oriented education law must align with the new imperatives of a digital economy, TVET, bridging skills gap, regional and global competitiveness. And for Fiji, this is going to be a very defining thing in the future. Today, in the caucus, for example, we discussed about population policy. We discussed about the changing labor market needs and what will happen in the next decade, in terms of where people are going to fit in this global, not only national, but global regional labor market. And I think this bill actually puts ahead proposals, requirements that would be very relevant to economic development. Modernization of legislation, again, it enhances the modernization, in the context of what we need. It enhances student protection and well-being. I noticed that the corporal punishment is included there. It's a very important aspect as well. Improved accountability and quality assurance, as the minister pointed out. Some of the clarity on the powers of the permanent secretary, the minister, and the advisory bodies is very important. And the last two merits or the benefits of this bill, Mr. Speaker, is better access and pathways. Homeschooling, for example, mature students, higher education, these will be benefits for improved quality of education generally, and of course, resilience and sustainability would be the ultimate merit or the ultimate outcome of benefits that will be important for our national development, and tying it together with the overall objective of improving the quality of life of our people. With those outline of the merits and principles, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill. Naka.
I thank the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad. I recognize the Minister and the Acting Attorney, the Honorable Turanga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to support the Education Bill 2025, a landmark legislative proposal that seeks to modernize and consolidate education framework in alignment with Section 31 of the Constitution and our international obligation under the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Mr. Speaker, sir, I can recall in December of 2023, there was an education summit where all the educators engaged in discussion. And as a result of that discussion, later consultation, here we have is the Education Bill. This is something that has been discussed. There are also members of the diaspora asking what is happening to our children, what is government doing in terms of the education, and this has been relayed to them. The bill is a product of the extensive consultation, rigorous legal vetting, and thoughtfully policy refinement. It reflects our national commitment to inclusive, equitable, and quality education for all Fijians, regardless of age, ability, or background. Honorable Speaker, the bill gives effect to the constitutional right to education under Section 31 and establishes the legal architecture for early childhood, primary, secondary, and higher education, technical vocational education and training, or what is normally known as TVET, special and inclusive education, teacher registration, professional standards, and institutional governance and accountability. It repeals the outdated legislation, introduces a unified framework that binds the state, ensures continuity, transparency, legal clarity across the education sector. Importantly, the bill establishes new statutory bodies while continuing others under strengthened mandate. This ensures that Fiji education systems is managed by qualified experts, not by chance, but by design. Among these bodies, Mr. Speaker, first is Part 4 of the bill, establish the Education Advisory Council. This will be a multi-stakeholder body chaired by the Permanent Secretary. It will bring together voices from school associations, unions, higher education institutions, civil society, and also controlling authorities. Its purpose is clear: to advise the Minister on matters of strategy, policy, and reform, ensuring that our education system remains responsive and inclusive. Part 5 of the bill introduced the National Curriculum and Assessment Authority. This authority will be responsible for developing and approving curriculum and assessment standards. I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Hem Chan is probably one who is very active in asking questions in relation to the education. And your answers are contained here, Honorable Member. Importantly, it mandates thematic areas that reflect our national priorities. These are digital literacy, civic responsibility, and the formal learning of both Wasapakaviti and Hindi. Mr. Speaker, I think we understand the problems that we face here in Fiji, that most of our very own children, grandchildren, they can't even speak the language in business level. I was in New Zealand, Mr. Speaker, sir, during the Fiji independence, and it was during the language week. What struck me is that New Zealand, for more than 10 years, they've been emphasizing children speaking their language, it's okay, or Tuman or Hindi for that matter. And I think we have to thank the Minister and his team who have contributed to this awesome law that will provide the avenue for children to grasp about their identity. Part 12 continues the work of the Teacher Registration Authority. This is a very important, which is also a subject matter that Honorable M. Chan normally asks, is building the Fiji Teachers Registration Board. This authority will regulate teacher registration, discipline, and professional conduct. It also introduces new mechanisms, including provisional registration and limited authority to teach, ensuring that our teaching workforce is both accountable and adaptable. Finally, Part 13 strengthens the mandate of the Higher Education Commission. This commission will regulate registration, accreditation, and the oversight of higher education institutions. It also introduced safeguards on the use of the title university. This is a big issue too. A lot of people provide their CV with a university that do not exist. We're thankful for the coalition government in bringing in and looking at this provision. It also introduced an authorization to confer awards protecting the integrity and credibility of higher education sector. Honorable Speaker, the bill also enshrines critical rights and responsibility. The right to education, the education for mature students, and compulsory education. The bill further strengthens operational and institutional safeguards. The school registration regulations, Part 7, it established clear procedures for registering government-aided, private, and homeschool. It also introduced appeal mechanisms and safeguards against the misuse of term school. In terms of health and safety, inspections covered in Part 8. Part 11 covers financing and accountability. Part 10 is very important, Mr. Speaker, student behavior and well-being. It prohibits corporal punishments, mandate counseling services and support mechanisms. I urge community, provincial council, Tikina council, people of interest to express their views to the committee when this bill has been deliberated. Honorable Speaker, the education bill is a transformative legal instrument. It reflects our collective aspirations for a just, inclusive, and forward-looking education system, one that empowers our children, support our educators, and strengthen our national development. I commend the bill to the House and invite honorable members to support his presence in the interest of our people and our future.
I thank the Minister and the Acting Attorney, Shiromi, for his contribution. There are 4 more speakers on my list. And looking at the time again, unless there is any violent objection, it is my intention to continue without our afternoon break until the items on the order paper today is exhausted. Are you in agreement, honorable members? I hear no objection, but that will mean that the chair will entertain a suspension motion first. So for the purposes of complying with the standing orders with respect to sitting times, I now call upon the Leader of the Government in Parliament, the Honourable Rofilipe Thuisawau, to move a suspension motion.
Speaker, I move under Standing Order 6 that so much of Standing Order 23-1 is suspended so as to allow the House to sit beyond 4:30 p.m. today to complete the remaining items listed in today's order paper.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Honorable Speaker, I second the motion.
The Honourable Manivalu, I now call on the Leader of Government to speak on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you indicated, we have a few speakers. Another bill for debate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honourable members, the floor is open for debate, if any. I don't see any, so I'm presuming the Leader of Government also forfeiting your right of reply.
No further comments.
Thank you. The Parliament will now vote. The question is that under Standing Order 6, that so much as Standing Order 23, Clause 1 is suspended so as to allow the House to sit beyond 4:30 p.m. today to complete the remaining items listed on today's order paper. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Thank you, honourable members. We will proceed with our list of speakers. I now call next on the Honourable Hemchan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. At the outset, allow me to thank the Honourable Minister for Education for bringing before this House the Education Bill. The current Act, it dates back to 1966, and therefore the effort to modernize our education laws, it must be acknowledged. This bill is indeed a step forward in principle, but it must also withstand robust scrutiny, because education is not merely a policy area, it is the foundation of Fiji's future. Mr. Speaker, sir, having said that, I now turn to the merit of the bill. I have read the bill last night and wish to speak on a few areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, while the bill speaks broadly about education tiers, there should be proper definition of special schools. Without a clear definition, implementation will be inconsistent and many children may be left behind. Consideration should be given to clearly defining special schools, their staff qualification, standard programs, and funding model. Mr. Speaker said the right to education must include the right to special and inclusive education. This must be recognized as a co-educational right, not as an afterthought. Consideration should be given to incorporating special education into the fundamental education rights outlined in the bill. Mr. Speaker, sir, early childhood education is an important area. There should be a representation of the head of the Early Childhood Education Association on the Advisory Council. Early childhood is most critical stage of learning. Consideration should be given to ensuring that this sector is properly represented in decision making. Mr. Speaker, sir, the proposed advisory bodies appear dominated by government appointees. Consideration should be given to teachers, school managements, and parents, as they have a real voice and not merely token representation. Mr. Speaker, sir, the key treasury institutions such as Fiji National University and the University of the South Pacific should be included or recognized within the framework of this bill. These institutions shape our workforce, our research capability, and our national innovation capacity. Mr. Speaker, consideration should be given to ensuring these institutions are properly acknowledged within the national education system. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, TAFE should be independent and not placed under FNU. Technical education requires its own governance structure, identity, and budgetary support. Mr. Speaker, at present, teacher training institutions appear underrepresented. Consideration should be given to mandating at least 2 representatives from teacher training providers. Mr. Speaker, there is no clear position regarding the fee structure for foreign students. This creates administrative uncertainty and may lead to disputes. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the TSLS is entirely missing from this bill, despite governing access to higher education for thousands of Fijian students. Mr. Speaker, consideration should be given to recognizing TSLS within a legislative framework. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I do not stand to reject this bill. I have few specific recommendations, and I will ensure that I appear before the committee to give my submissions. I say, let us improve it. Let us amend it. Let us build not just a legal framework, but a lasting legacy. Let us ensure that it honors the Constitution, the legacy of community participation, the right of every child, especially the weakest amongst us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I thank the Honorable Chan for his contribution. I call next on the Honorable Vijay Nath.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to this bill, education bill, that is before this House, and I do so with very clear instant. We cannot reform education in Fiji by weakening the very people who built it. Mr. Speaker, I must declare my interest that I also carry a head of a school manager of Paoliku High School. Mr. Speaker, let us not forget that 96% of our school, ECE, primary and secondary, are managed by community and faith-based organizations. These are organizations that build schools when government resources were thin. They kept education alive in rural and maritime communities. They supported teachers long before the ministry had structured systems. They are not outsiders. They are not optional partners. They are the heart and bones of education system. Mr. Speaker, for decades they have provided classrooms and infrastructure, disciplines and values, support for teachers and students, equal access for poor and rural families. And now, Mr. Speaker, we see attempts to centralize decision-making. We see policies that push communities to the side. We see legislation that risks reducing their voice instead of strengthening it. This is not progress. This is discontinuation. Mr. Speaker, holistic education does not come from Suva boardroom. They come from community outside. Cultural values, faith-based principles, and the everyday reality of our family. When managements are ignored, children suffer. When communities are pushed out, schools lose their identity. Mr. Speaker, the government talks about SDG 4, quality and inclusive education. But who actually makes inclusion happen on the ground? Not ministry, not headquarters. It is the committee. it is the community, who keeps remote school functioning, who support teachers when resources are limited, who takes their children with disabilities, who mobilize parents to keep students in school. If we weaken them, we weaken our chance of achieving SDG 4. Mr. Speaker said, I call for the bill to, 1, respect community ownership of schools, 2, guarantee management a strong role in governance and decision making, 3, protect teachers' moral and restore confidence, 4, support rural and maritime and special need students, 5, provide leadership training for management and school heads. These are the reforms that will truly lift education system. Mr. Speaker said, to conclude, the school management have carried this nation's education system for generations. Often quietly, often without resources, often without recognition, but always faithfully. They deserve respect, not reduced authority. They deserve partnership, not sidelining. They deserve legislation that strengthens their contribution, not weaken. We stand firmly with the school management of Fiji. We will continue to educate the education system built on genuine partnership, strong community engagement, and respect for the people who have saved Fiji's educational journey for over a century. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir.
I thank the Honorable Nath. Just a reminder to keep the straight and narrow under the standing order, relevant standing order which we are looking at. That is standing order 85. Let me call next on the Honorable Chanius Mate for his contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And as you said, I'll try to keep to the straight and narrow, just look at the principles and the merits of the bill. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Minister and the Ministry for the work that they've done. It's very important, and I think if there's one thing that we realize is the greatest investment that we can have in the future of our country, it's the education, not only of our young, but all of us. And it always needs a systemic approach. So having a big way of trying to review it, involving everybody, as many people as possible that have the stakeholders, I think it has been a great approach. I'm just looking at some of the principles that I can see that are embedded in this new bill. One, it's the principle of inclusion. I think if I look at the way that it's been structured, it's trying to include everybody that has a stake in education to be included somewhat. And you see this in the establishment of the various forums that are there. The way that we are looking at the curriculum now is not just limited to teachers, but a wider variety of people. You know, now when we look about intelligence generally in the world, it's not just knowing your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3. There's social intelligence, there's emotional intelligence. All of these other things are factoring in. One of the things that you see, for instance, in the countries now, people may know how to do it, but either they cannot do it or they don't want to do it. So in the education thing, when you have experts that come from different areas, they can bring all that systemic thinking about curriculum into play in the way that it's done. So I think the idea of inclusion is a very strong principle of this bill. The other thing that I can see is that it's trying the other principle of alignment with the things that have happened on the world over the past few years. Alignment also with our Constitution. In our Constitution now we have various bills of rights. And the one that comes very strongly through here that I read is the right of the child to education. In the existing act, it says, you educate according to the parents' wishes. That's section 3 of the existing act. This particular one takes that out. It's just saying, you the child have these rights, you have the right to education, and it requires, and I'm just wondering in my mind, what happens to the parents' wishes? I mean, that's an interesting point to think about. But so it is about amalgamating also with the developments that have taken place around the world. We are talking about the Convention of the Rights of the Child, the Constitution, as it has been expressed by the Honorable Biman Prasad, things that have happened in terms of OHS, employment relations, all of these things have been amalgamated into this. And one issue that I have a bit of a question mark is this idea of amalgamation of the other legislations that are around the Education Act. This is the legislation on the Higher Education Act, the Fiji Teachers Registration Act, to all come into this one. There are pros and cons of both, Speaker, sir. One of the things that we had in the Committee for Justice Law, we were looking at some of the electoral laws. And their view in that particular, when they're talking about it, was to keep the law separate, because if they want to change something, they can just change that particular component of that law rather than the big legislation. But I can also see the merits of putting everything together in one. Then you can have this coherence between the different parts of it. So that is one of the things that I picked out from them, Mr. Speaker. The bill, I will not try to touch too much on the various things that have already been covered by other speakers. One of the things that, that I've been thinking about when the minister was talking, he was talking about fundraising is not compulsory, but levies will be allowed. So into my mind, I'm trying to gather this thing in my head. Fundraising is not compulsory, levying then becomes compulsory if it is there. Then, how does then affect the right to free education when there is some compulsion on to do with the levies? This is a thing that I'm thinking in terms of principles and merits. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the other things, I recently, on Remembrance Day, Mr. Speaker, sir, I joined the former British soldiers. They have their British Legion function there. I joined them. And one of the things that we were talking with them, I've also joined the children of the 212. 212 were the original British Army people that went in the 1960s. One of the things they pointed out, that a lot of these people come back from the British Army, they have a lot of expertise, but they can't get into the job market because they don't have the masters and the PhDs. So I'm just thinking to my mind, when you do this program, how do we give recognition to those abilities? Because most of our people here in Fiji, they just ask you got a PhD, masters, they take you. But you know, sometimes you get these people with the big degrees, they can't do the job. Whereas these people, they've done that. So I'm hoping that when we have this assessment, the curriculum development, and maybe the higher education, when they look at qualifications, they can weave this into what they recognize as a MQR. People might not have all those things, but they have the ability, because some of these people have served the British Army for 20 years, or I think it's 22 years. And they come, they're here, a lot of them are not able to get into employment. So I'm hoping that that's one thing that we can try to address. The other thing that I like about this bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, right at the very end, it requires a process of continual improvement. Right at the very end, it calls for a mandatory review every 5 years. And I think this is a very good principle. It builds in the requirement for continuous improvement. And we look forward, when the bill comes out and we have the committees, will be an opportunity to be able to look into these principles and the merits and go deeper into the different clauses of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Usmati. The last contribution is from the Honorable Leader of the Opposition. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sir, I'll try to be very brief, and I do join the previous speakers in acknowledging government through the minister for this very important bill. As we all agree, this is stated by the Honorable Usmati, perhaps one of the greatest investments that any country can put its resources into, given its importance and how it contributes to our growth and development. So thank you once again, Honorable Minister. And just returning from COP30, and I noted the events that were recently being held in the country as well. And one that caught my attention was the TOPEX meeting that was held recently. And something that caught my attention was the statement made by the PS Employment, Productivity and Workplace Relations. And in his address, he highlighted the fact that Fiji needs a major reset to fix its skills shortage. And I hope that this will be part of it, because as the Honorable Professor Abhiman Prasad is fully aware, we've always discussed about skills and the economy and the gaps
because we have progressed a lot since 1966. And when looking at the merits of the bill, I will not go into the principles once again. I only focused on two areas very quickly, Part 5 and Part 6, on the curriculum development and assessment, and on the types of schools, ensuring that no one is left behind and giving people the second chance to education. The curriculum development is always very, very important, and it needs to be relevant and it needs to be applicable because this is part of change management. If we do not manage change well, we will always be reactive, or we will find ourselves struggling because we will not fit strategically within the context of the development that are happening. And that I like the fact that the bill highlights that in addition to the standard subjects taught in Fiji, there is also consideration to cover the other additional thematic areas. Digital literacy, technology is a key influence for change. Artificial intelligence, civic responsibility, morality, and discipline. It's very, very important for us. We know that there are some of our students that do come from broken families with such unfortunate upbringing background, so perhaps the school can provide that space, safe space for our students. Health and nutrition, physical education and sports. We all agree that not everybody will excel academically, but we have our children with special skills and talents, and this can be developed so that it can provide a livelihood for them. And this, in addition to current TVET programs, will be very helpful for our people. The Honorable Usmati has talked about the issue about returning ex-servicemen, but I think it's not only for them, but this is, as educators would know, the Honorable Professor Biman Prasad, this is about the modern learning environment, adult learning environment. I think the issue that he is raising is about RPCC, recognition of prior competencies, and the recognition of prior skills, learning. I think these two, if they can be factored into the military uses this very well, because certain levels of courses that you do, it's recognized when you go for further training. You are exempted from doing other units in the universities or whatever when you get into staff college because of recognition of prior learning and recognition of current competencies. So this, perhaps, it's already in existence in some areas of education, but I think it needs to be standardized, and of course, with the right processes and systems in place, this should really help, because as he has stated, people can do the work, but unfortunately, they miss out because they don't have the qualification. So if recognition of prior competencies and recognition of prior learning is factored into this, it will really do a lot of favor to those that need to be considered in this regard. On the classification of schools, there's only one question mark that I'm raising when it comes to home schools, particularly when it comes to some faith-based, is it beliefs or some cults, where this home school environment is, I know that the fact, say, back to Part 5, a registered school and a recognized school must meet the curriculum and assessment and educational standards. But this is a fact. We've had experiences where
children are not allowed to go to school. And they create this home learning environment. Probably something that the committee will need to consider seriously when it comes to the consultations. Because I know that there are some certain beliefs that do not want to send their children to any, but they have this home schooling environment that they have created for themselves. So that is just something that I sort of wanted to raise, Honorable Minister, from Part 6 of this bill. And I thank government and the Minister for referring this again to the committee. And hopefully, with their consultations, that then they probably will come up with some of the things that we do not recognize as yet. And of course, taking into consideration the views of our various stakeholders as well. And I thank government again for this bill, and we look forward to it going through the process, and look forward to the report that will be submitted to this House later on in the third reading by the committee responsible. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Thank the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Seri Ratu. I beg your pardon, Honorable Members. I do have a final speaker after all. It's, I recognize the Honorable Minister Tambuya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I appreciate you giving me this time. It would be remiss of me as a child advocate not to make a contribution to this very important bill. It is a landmark piece of legislation that modernizes our education system, strengthens accountability, has been mentioned by my previous colleagues, and places the rights and well-being of a Fijian child in the center of national development. Honorable Speaker, before I make a short contribution of what may not have been covered, I wanted to just address some of the issues that have been raised by members from the other side. Honorable Usmate mentioned about the possible removal of parents' wishes that might be watered down. The way I see this bill, Honorable Speaker, it does support parents and it strengthens partnership with families. Honorable Speaker, this bill recognizes that education is a partnership between the state, the schools, and families. It honors parents as primary educators of their children. It protects their rights to choose their child's school, to consent to religious instruction, and to apply for homeschool education where it is in the child's best interest, as well as participate meaningfully in school governance through the Education Advisory Council. The Honorable Leader of Opposition raised the issue about possibly where some religions do not allow their children to go to school. There is a huge change and that is being proposed in this bill, and that is education is compulsory. So it does recognize that with the right to free education, constitutional right to free education, comes the responsibility that your children must attend school, that it is compulsory. So they do go together. That is a balanced approach that we need to embrace in this House. And I think it's a principle that we need to continue to support as we provide free education for our children. Honorable Speaker, the issue I wish to elaborate is that it is a huge change or a shift in protecting our children and elevating their well-being. One of the strongest features, Honorable Speaker, of this bill is its child protection framework. According to the Constitution, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, it defines corporal punishment as violence. And so corporal punishment is explicitly stated in this act that it is prohibited in all schools. And that is a very strong feature, Honorable Speaker, of this bill. It is a principle we should support. There's a lot of chatter and a lot of discussion about this issue where there are adults pushing for corporal punishment to be legalized in schools, Honorable Speaker. And again, we need to look at this and approach it from where the primary educators and the primary disciplinarians are parents and families. That we cannot expect our teachers to be the primary disciplinarians of our children. That is not their role. Their role is to teach and educate. And we cannot shift that burden to them to be the disciplinarians as well. This is like shifting your own parental responsibility to the teachers. And this bill demands that this should shift back. This should be done by families and parents. And Honorable Speaker, we just need to question this. If it is illegal or a crime to hit an adult, then why not a child? Even if it's in a school. So why would we allow corporal punishment in schools when it is a crime to hit an adult? And that is fair. And that is the right thing to do, and that's what this bill encompasses. Honorable Speaker, children must be treated with dignity and respect at all times. The access to counseling services is now made mandatory. It is now a requirement, ensuring emotional and mental support for students. Again, a huge shift to the rights of the child, the need for their mental health, and the provision of counseling services in our schools. Honorable Speaker, the best interest of the child is a primary consideration in all decisions. This is in line with global best practices to ensure that our classrooms are safe, nurturing environments where children can thrive. Honorable Speaker, just in conclusion, this education bill 2025 is bold, forward-looking, and grounded in the best interests of our children. And most importantly, ensures that no child is left behind, whether in our urban centers, our rural villages, or maritime communities. And I just wish to address the concern by Honorable Vijay Nath about committee-run schools. Honorable Speaker, I think just this morning they raised the issue again about a committee-run school imposing a levy. And then the Ministry of Education stepping in says, no, it's voluntary. So we do need this balanced approach where the Ministry of Education has this authority to be able to keep committee-run schools in line so that there is best practices and that we're not putting a huge burden on families when it comes to their children. Honorable Speaker, this bill reflects who we are as a nation and the future we want for our children. I wish to commend the ministry as well as the Education Review Committee, which is ably led by my former principal, who I wish to acknowledge, my former principal at Andida Kowal School, Ms. Rokumbua Nyanga. Congratulate her and her team for this bill and all those who contributed to this important reform. Honorable Speaker, I support the education bill. Thank you.
I thank the Minister, the Honorable Thumbuya, for her contribution. Honorable members, I now call on the Honorable Minister for Education to exercise his right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I just wanted to thank every member that have contributed in support of the bill, discussing the merits and the principles of the bill. Some have touched a little bit about the contents, but those contents can be further discussed, and we encourage your input, your submissions at the Parliamentary Standing Committee level to ensure that you get justifications, clarifications on the issues that you raised at the House. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Parliament will now vote. The question is that the education bill be read a second time. Does any member oppose the motion? As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.
A bill for an act to give effect to the constitutional right to education, to establish the Education Advisory Council, to establish the National Curriculum and Assessment Authority, to provide for the recognition and registration of schools, to provide for early childhood education, primary education, secondary education, and technical and vocational education and training, to provide for special and inclusive education, to establish the Fiji Teachers Registration Authority and continue the Fiji Teachers Registration Board, to provide for the registration of teachers, to continue the Higher Education Commission, to provide for the registration of our higher education institutions, to provide for higher education and for related matters, Bill number 34 of 2025.
Honourable members, in accordance with the Standing Order 85, Clause 4, the bill has now been read for the second time. Pursuant to Standing Order 85, Clause 4A, the bill is hereby referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. While Standing Order 121, Clause 1A ordinarily requires the committee to report back within 30 days. In this instance, given the circumstances, the committee will instead report back next year. Thank you, honourable members. Honourable members, we will now deal with the second bill, and I now call upon the Minister for Environment and Climate Change, the Honourable Moses Imbulitavu, to move his motion.
Honourable Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Orders 51, I move that the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025, Bill 39 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay. 2, that the bill must pass through one stage of a single sitting of Parliament. And C, that the bill must not be referred to a standing committee or other committee of Parliament. And D, that the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament on Monday, 1st December 2025, but that 1 hour be given to debate the bill, with the right of reply given to me as the Minister moving the motion.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Speaker, sir, I beg to second the motion.
Thank you. The Leader of Government in Parliament. I now call on the Minister for Environment and Climate Change to speak on his motion.
Honourable Speaker, sir, the Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Honourable Cabinet Ministers, Assistant Ministers, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. I rise to update this August House on the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025, which has been endorsed by Cabinet and is now being tabled for its first reading under Standing Orders 51. Honourable Speaker, sir, the Environment Management Act 2005 has served Fiji for 20 years. However, it was designed at a time when environmental legislation focused largely on administrative processes without the pressures we face today. That being rapid development, expanding urban growth, climate impacts, complex waste streams, and increasing illegal activities. Over the years, Fiji has witnessed legal disputes, vigorous and ambitious responsibilities, slow approval processes, and limited enforcement powers. The current legislation does not provide adequate tools to deal with illegal development in a rapid manner, nor does it provide us adequate responsibilities to respond immediately to pollution risk or environmental emergencies. It also does not support the digital transformation underway across government. The bill before us responds to those gaps. It is a comprehensive, model, and a modern and accountable framework aligned with the contemporary environmental governance, national development priorities, and the rollout of the building permit approval system, BPAS, as alluded to by the Honourable Minister for Finance this morning when he delivered his ministerial statement, and also the bill that was moved yesterday by the Honourable Minister for Local Government that will develop BPAS, the Town Country Planning Bill. This reform brings exactly what we have far too long debated about, which is balancing development with conservation and addressing the red tapes in our administrative processes. Why Standing Orders 51? Honourable Speaker, sir, Standing Orders 51 is justified for 3 key reasons. First, the current law is outdated, and the absence of clear processes, timelines, and enforcement mechanisms compromises public interest, investor confidence, and environmental protection. Second, Cabinet has expressly directed the amendment and tabling of this bill to support national development reforms, including digitized approvals. Third, delays in updating the law allow illegal developments, pollution, breaches, and compliance loopholes to continue, creating financial and environmental risk for government and communities. So therefore, Honourable Speaker, sir, immediate action is in the national interest. And that is why moving it under Standing Orders 51, given the urgency and to correct the various gaps that are in the operation of the law at the moment. Honourable Speaker, sir, on the consultation process, this is not a rush bill. It follows Cabinet direction and policy endorsement, close collaboration with the Office of the Solicitor General, consultation across key government ministries and agencies, technical drafting based on operational challenges and legal lessons. The bill reflects detailed, evidence-based reform. Honorable Speaker, sir, allow me to highlight the major reforms. One is the modernization of definitions and government structure. The bill removes outdated terms and introduces new definitions to clarify responsibility and elimination of confusion. It includes introduction the term licensing authority and the defining development site to include approved and unapproved sites. This ensures a clear, accountable government framework across all agencies involved in the development approvals. Two, centralization of EIA decision-making. Honorable Speaker, sir, the bill centralizes screening, scoping, approval, and compliance functions under the Department of Environment. This addresses past challenges where multiple authorities created delays, dispute, and inconsistent decisions. Centralization creates one process, one standard, and one accountable decision maker. This reform strengthens integrity, consistency, and efficiency. And three, introduction of a mandatory legal timelines. Honorable Speaker, sir, at the heart of this bill is the introduction of strict legally binding timelines for environmental approvals. The revised timeframes are as follows: 7 working days for screening decision, previously 10 working days, 15 working days for terms of reference, previously 21 days, and 20 working days for management plan decision, previously 30 working days. This is transformative. It reduces delay, eliminates bottlenecks, supports investors, and aligns with the national ease of doing business agenda. Faster approval without compromising environmental protection. And 4, formalizing of the management plan system. Not all developments require full EIA. The bill recognizes this by establishing a formal management plan process for lower risk activities. The amendment bill therefore introduces a clear scope and term of reference, accredited consultants, defined approval pathways. This ensures proportionality, protecting the environment while enabling development. 5, strengthen enforcement powers. Honorable Speaker, sir, the bill introduces significant enforcement reforms. Immediate prohibition notice to stop harmful activities, powers to inspect unapproved development sites, powers to enter, inspect vehicles, vessels, and aircraft, a fixed penalty of $10,000 for impersonating inspectors, and tiered penalties for illegal development up to $750,000 and imprisonment. These provisions give government and its officers the tool to respond proactively and initiate follow-up legal processes for repeated offenders. 6, waste and pollution control reforms. The bill also strengthens waste management by allowing fixed penalty notices and prosecution for non-payment. This ensures better compliance and monitoring of waste facilities. There are many facilities in Fiji that do not hold a valid permit despite being sent multiple non-compliance notices. These facilities must be taken to task. Honorable Speaker, say in closing, the Act is 20 years old and no longer fit for purpose in the time and era we are in now. Cabinet has directed urgent reform. The bill delivers modern, efficient, and enforceable environmental governance, reduce timelines, support development and national growth. I respectively urge this House and the opposition to support the passage of the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025. Its enactment will ensure that Fiji has a responsive, development-ready, and future-focused environment framework, one that safeguards our people, our natural resources, our economic prosperity for the generations to come. You know, very wonderful Speaker, sir.
Thank the Minister, Honorable Murithabu. The floor is now open, honorable members, for debate on the motion. At the end of the debate, we will have the right of reply from the mover. Honorable Usamate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And thank you to the Minister for bringing the bill to Parliament. There's one thing that we had a brief look at in terms of what the bill is trying to do, some parts of it are admirable, something that needs to be done. But I think the issue that we have, after having a few minutes of reading through it, I think it requires a bit more attention. And the fact that it is moving from 51 period to be debated next week is something that's very worrying. And it's I also noticed that the minister used to be the guy who used to be very anti-51 now. Now he's using it, so congratulations. Even though he's still on this side, he's flipped to the other side. That is our major concern. Because there are some issues there that I think for us would have required a bit more intense scrutiny. That we want to make sure that the trade issues happen, but we want to make sure that the environment, which nobody will be able to repair if it's gone, is maintained. So for that, Mr. Speaker, sir, we would have preferred that had gone through committee to have some sort of consultation review before it's brought back to government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Are there any more contribution? Intervention? I don't see any. I call on the Minister of Environment to speak in reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. In response to Honorable Usumate, I've already outlined the amount of consultation that has been done. But again, you have a few days to go through the bill, and we'll debate on the content on Monday. And I hope Honorable Bala has already given me his assurance as the former Minister for Environment that will be supporting the bill. So I'm thanking him in advance. So I have no further comments, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The Parliament will now vote. The question is pursuant to Standing Order 51A, that's the Environment Management Amendment Bill 2025, Bill number 39 of 2025, be considered by Parliament without delay. B, that the bill must pass through one stage at a single sitting of Parliament. C, that the bill must not be referred to a standing committee or other committee of Parliament. And D, that the bill must be debated and voted upon by Parliament on Monday, the 1st of December 2025, but that 1 hour be given to debate the bill with the right of reply given to the Minister for Environment and Climate Change as the Minister moving this motion. Does any member oppose the motion? As there is opposition, the Parliament will now vote. So open the vote. Close the vote.
The results of the vote are as follows: 31 ayes and 10 noes.
Thirty-one ayes and 10 noes. The motion is agreed to by the majority vote of 31 votes, 10 noes. Thank you. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the sitting today. I thank you all for your presence and your contribution to the proceedings. Rest well. Parliament is adjourned until tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.